Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
James D. Moncrief.
I'm James D. Moncrief. I've been kicking around this old world for 75 years. And about 40 of it I've spent working in either federal government or county government. And part of it was in this county. Pardon me, it was state government. I worked for the state. We had a governor here a while back that gave the state workers a raise. Then he turned around 6 months later and took it back. So I have never been a party to voting myself a raise. And I think it's pretty well said tonight that everybody that's here is against a raise for you guys. I'm not against a raise for the judge and the county commissioners. But I'll tell you how I think it ought to be. Your first term should be volunteer. Then at the end of that first term, if you want to run again, we'll give you a raise equal to the lowest percent that you gave the county workers. And I think that would be a fair way to get a raise. Now, you use the comparison of the other counties on they are better paid than you are. What about using the comparison on the jail, that they can build jails cheaper than you guys can? And let's get a jail built. We've been fighting this jail built for 15 years that I know of, and we still need a jail. So let's start doing some looking into building a jail and get it done. I mean, we asked for a consultant. I worked for a company here in town that consulted themselves out of business. And I think that's about what you guys have done. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Jeffrey Smiley.
I'll pass. I believe everything's about been said that I would like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Dr. Rita Turner.
I'm Dr. Rita Bryant Turner, and I happily lived in Tyler for exactly 50 years and never felt prompted to speak to the court before. But when I read all the salaries of the county employees, I thought, well, somebody better say something. Those are dismal. Those are pitiful. Those are poverty level. And yes, I heartily approve of this raise. Double it, raise our taxes, fair enough. But for the court, the elected people who signed on for an amount which is far in excess of what many of these employees get. This is legal and unethical, and it won't do you any good. I guess you forgot to look at Congress. We hold them in very little respect, and one main reason is that they vote themselves raises every year while they do nothing positive for their constituents. And I speak for many of my age group who wouldn't bother to come tonight. But we do vote, and we would like you to get the darn jail built and paid for and finished.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. Clifford Rockwell.
My name is Clifford Rockwell. I just have a couple of minor comments. I thought that earmarks were the property of the U.S. Congress, not the Commissioner's Court, but I guess I've been proved wrong on that. I also wonder about a budget that's built on a process and not a result. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I would like to thank Joanne Fleming. She's been very good to me. I would hope that the rest of you might follow her example. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dudley Wardlaw.
I'm Dudley Wardlaw. I retired to Tyler in 1991. After my last 20 years of work, I was in management for one of the companies in the corrugated box industry. If we were to justify a capital project, we needed to prove to management that it would pay for itself in 3 years. I've seen nothing in the papers or in comments by anyone else which provides any financial justification for the amount of money you're proposing that we agree to be spent on a jail. 99 million, just from what I heard since I came in here today, perhaps doesn't include land, perhaps doesn't include for the demolition of the old Carlton Hotel, although I thought I read of that in the paper recently. But at any rate, it's obvious that the 99 million is not the total expenditure. I haven't read yet of any discussion about how much more the 99 becomes when you talk about the interest that we will be paying over some period of time. The only savings that I've read or heard about is that comes from not having to any longer send prisoners to other counties. If I remember correctly, it costs $40 a day to send a prisoner somewhere else. But it costs about $34 a day to keep them here. So you're talking about saving $6 a day, let's say for 200 or 300 prisoners, and wanting us to spend 120, 130, 140 million dollars. That's ludicrous. Now, if you want to come before this public and say, we can't justify this financially, but we need it. And I've heard J.B. Smith's stories, and I understand the problems he's got. But don't come to us and say, we want to spend over $100 million and we're going to save $300 or $400 a day. That's hogwash, okay? Now, let me switch gears for just a second. I had some association with Bill McGinnis and Joanne Fleming and Larry Craig a few years ago. I seem to recall, and Bill, you may correct me if I'm off base, but I seem to recall that Larry Craig's salary was about $55,000 a year. Also, I think he got an extra $5,000 from the state for probate. But for you, just these few years later, to try and put yourself in a position to get double or more what your position paid just a few years ago is simply wrong. And I hope you paid attention to these other folks who've been putting it to you up here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Juanita Wardlaw.
Judge Baker, since you called on my husband first, he said some of the things I was going to say. But for someone who did support you in this election.
Ma'am, you have to come up here and speak.
You have to get a record of it, ma'am.
Well, this guy over here,
You have to come up here to speak, you're gonna speak.
I was about through.
You gotta have it on record.
I'm Juanita Wardlaw. I live in Tyler. And for someone who did support you in this election, I'm deeply dissatisfied with this increase in salaries. Maybe I'm just jealous that I worked for 26 years for a major one of the